Okay, thank you. You're recording. So I'll call the meeting to order and we need to approve the agenda as printed.
So moved.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda as printed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Public comment on agenda items? Seen under those? Communications shared by solid waste management board members?
I have something small. I'm also on the facilities committee too, commission, whatever it is. And one of the things they brought to the last meeting was on the boathouse, which has been a thorn in everybody's side for a long time, and the new boathouse and everything else. And one of the things that is developed is there's a lot of landfill that is questionable what it is that we have to dispose of. So I think, John, they have talked, the facilities has talked with you about it a little bit, about bringing the landfill in here to dispose of it, but I just want to make you aware that it is there. It is something that we will be talking to. We haven't already. That's all.
Sorry, yeah, Kathy has been working on that, trying to coordinate disposal of that material at Outagamie. So
Excellent. Thank you.
Good, okay. There's no more. We'll go to approve the minutes of November 16th, open session.
Move approval. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of November 16th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried.
I'd like to abstain.
Okay. Okay, discussion action on award replacement horizontal mobile wood base grinder.
yeah, I just want to preface the items 6 and 7 here. These are capital items that are included in our 2023 budget, and the normal process that we've taken for a number of years is these long lead time equipment items. We've worked with purchasing late in the fall after the budget is adopted to put together RFPs and then bring the results to the board for approval so we can get the order placed, because typically these things are 6 months plus. So anyway, so Kathy has presentations on both items 6 and 7 that are capital items in the 2023 budget. So.
Thanks, John. So we're done. There we go. Okay. This is an award for RFP at solid waste 02-22 for the 2023 horizontal wood waste grinder. This piece of equipment is essential for our yard waste program and how we manage that material. This yard waste that we're processing with the grinder is banned from landfill disposal, so it just can't go through the transfer station. We also manage this program so our communities, our signing municipalities can bring materials here or direct their residents to bring materials to us. So we are helping them by running this program through our facility as well. Currently, we grind about 2,500 tons per year of brush and yard waste. It's approximately 120 to 150 hours of use per year. And we grind this brush and yard waste material to a 6 to 8 inch piece for use as feedstock for the UWO biodigester, the biogas program down there. They mix it with food waste and it helps them produce a more robust methane fuel for burning and selling back to the grid on their end, and then they use the digestate the end parts of the compost material. So it's a win-win. It helps keep their facility up and running for educational purposes. It helps us maintain a healthy yard waste program where we don't have to handle that material or continue to handle that material as compost on our site. So it's a cost savings for us in the long run, and it helps the UWO program out as well. The current equipment we have is the 2001 Moorbark 5600 Woodhawk. It has about 6,400 hours on it. and the economic useful life was reached in 2022. It is fully depreciated. We have been maintaining it as we go along the way. It is an old piece of equipment. It's no longer roadworthy without additional upkeep and maintenance, and the engine is getting to be to the point where it will likely be overhauled for the engine sometime soon. But we are currently putting anywhere between $6,000 to $12,000 in the equipment itself at this point per year, just to keep it up and running to things that break up here and there. Our 2023 capital outlay budget for this equipment is $500,000. Staff observed demonstrations of new equipment through Roto Chopper on an MC 266. They brought a piece of equipment or that piece down to our facility here on September 13th and ground a bunch of material that we have on site. So we actually did see it demonstrated and used, and staff were able to comment or share their comments with me on that. We also saw a demonstration of another piece of equipment equivalent to the Roto Chopper, the Vermeer HG 4000 Generation 2. We went up to Vermeer's shop in Appleton, and then they took that piece of equipment over to Allegheny County, who had a similar yard waste feedstock that we have, and we did watch a demonstration of that piece of equipment grinding yard waste and other materials up in Allegheny County. Again, I attended that one, and our foreman and one other equipment operator did, so we had different viewpoints of how that piece of equipment operated. In the process of the RFP process, I should say, we published it through DemandStar on October 27th and had the proposals due on November 17th. We received 3 proposals. One from Roto Chopper on a 23 MC 266. You can see their price tag there. Vermeer also submitted a proposal on a 23 HG 4000 Generation 2. And Morbark proposed on a 2023 3000 XP for 6,000 or 600,000. The big thing, the biggest difference between the new equipment versus what we have, the current piece of equipment is a 5600, so it's got a bigger engine on it. It can grind bigger stumps, bigger material that was useful when we operated a landfill. Right now, we're not doing that. We won't need such a big machine here. So for efficiencies in running that equipment, maintaining that equipment, and just having something more useful for what our needs in here, we decided to downsize. And that's why we're coming in with smaller, slightly smaller equipment, and the price tag is more budget friendly for our capital outlay. Could you pull up the bid tabulation sheet?
Kathy, does Allegheny County currently own one of those?
No, Allegheny hires Buckland's out of
Okay.
Menasha to come in. I did receive a quote from Buckland's previously this summer. We were looking at other options for grinding materials. Buckland's came in at $400 an hour to run our yard waste. They would have also charged fuel and a mobilization fee for each time they brought it out. So I did consider that as an alternative, but we do have the staff here now, and we do have the capital outlay in the budget, and it makes sense for us to purchase and run that equipment. The other benefit of this is potentially down the road. I know that emergency management and how they handle waste for disaster relief. In the past, we were signed up to use our Morbark as a mobile unit to help communities out and charge them by the hour if they had a lot of yard waste they needed to go through from a disaster, like a tornado comes through. Currently, with our current piece of equipment, we would not be able to provide that service. But in the future, with new equipment and staffing were to be allowed, we would be able to offer that service up to emergency management for within Winnebago County again. So that's also what's taken into consideration.
Yeah, that's what that would have been my backup question. Are you still able to provide that in that situation?
Absolutely, we would certainly entertain that as an option. So what you're seeing here are the 3 different pieces of equipment that we either saw and or were proposed. The first one is a Morbark, similar but smaller to the one we have on site. The middle one is the Roto Chopper. That's the equipment that we actually had here on site for demonstration. And then the last one here is the Vermeer, very much similar in how they look and how they operate. Our proposals came back. Morbark was on the high end of $606,368. They did not offer us a trade-in value on what we had, which surprised me, just an observation surprised me because they are the manufacturer of that piece of equipment. They weren't willing to take our old equipment back. Roto Chopper came in with 501,850. They offered us 35,000 for the trade-in. So the net value after trade-in is 466,850. We also asked for options, which I'll go over to you in just a second here. And then Vermeer came in with a middle number there, 589,900. Again, no trade-in value we have here. So on the options, what we were looking for, option number one, is a Rotolink package. Now, all of this equipment, it's all run digitally now. You have a screen, you have to make it, your choices on how you want to run that piece of equipment. What Roto Chopper and what Vermeer offer are dial-in options, where they have a satellite link. They can come in, kind of like, oh, what was that in your vehicles, you know, like Chevy had the, Star, something like that, where they can come in, they can see, observe how that piece of equipment is running, they can make adjustments from far away, rather than having the tech come down here, or rather than having us kind of try to figure out how to make adjustments to make the machine run the way we want it to run, depending on what material we're sending through it. It also helps troubleshoot any issues it may have as it's running. Where if we need a service or warranty work coming in, they're gonna know right away at Rotolink, and they'll tell us, or Vermeer, and they'll tell us, hey, your machine isn't running right, you need to have a tech come in, you need to send something and take a look at it. So it kind of helps us make sure we have a long life of this equipment. So option number one was a online resource, or I should say a dial-in resource that would help us run that equipment. Option number two was a, let me just grab my notes here. A lot of information to process. Option two is an annual preventative maintenance service package. It's a 1-day preventative maintenance inspection where they send a tech in once per year. And this is that per annual, so it'll be 3,600 per year for them to bring somebody in. Now on new equipment, we want to make sure, again, huge investment here. We want to make sure that we continue to maintain it because it's very specialized and because it's new. Our staff here are not going to be as familiar as how to maintain that piece of equipment. So what I would like to see this as option number two would be, we get to observe the tech come in. We kind of see what needs to be maintained along the line for an annual visit, and learn from them and start to take on that maintenance on our own after a few years as we're capable of doing. This will actually hopefully help extend the life of this piece of equipment as well. Option number three was an additional 1-year factory machine warranty. The machine itself comes with a 1-year warranty. The engine we asked for an extended warranty on, just because there tends to be more issues. So the engine has a 5-year, 5,000 hour. Let me just confirm that. All right. 5-year, 5,000 hours on the engine. Warranty is included in this. A 1-year warranty on the equipment itself is included on these bids. The option three was an extension, so a 2nd-year warranty on the equipment, which I just threw out there to kind of figure out how much that cost would be if we decided we absolutely needed it. So in my opinion, and what I'm going to recommend today, oh, actually, let me back up. I did talk to 2 references for the Roto Chopper. One of them is a guy out of Pulaski. He grinds corn. He's the one that actually brought his machine down here to grind our yard waste on the demonstration. He owns, I think, 3 or 4 of them. Loves the machine, loves the equipment. A second reference I was able to get a hold of is a mulch company down in the Milwaukee area. He has had really good luck with his equipment. The Roto Chopper he runs, had it for 3 years, has had no concerns with service or preventative maintenance or keeping that machine going, and has had really good luck with the sales and service department through that. So in looking at our numbers, the prices that we received, the trade-in value, the overall options that were given in the base bid, or the base proposal. And then adding on option number 1 in the actual capital outlay expense. Adding on option 2 as an annual budgetary expense. So what we're looking at here and what I'm proposing is that we award this to Roto Chopper for the MC 266. For a net price after trade-in 466,850. And then adding an option number 1 for the Roto Link for 5 years. The total price of this capital outlay item is $480,050, which is under the budget, 500,000. Questions?
Right.
Why don't you wanna do the annual maintenance again?
The annual maintenance plan is something that we will include, but as an annual budgetary item and not part of.
Okay, so you don't want, even for this year, you don't, even for this first one, you don't wanna put it on?
I wouldn't put it in the capital outlay unless the board feels that we should put it in this capital outlay for year 1, but
It's kind of, it's not uncommon to do that,
okay. Okay,
so
so,
I guess. I'll make a motion to approve, as submitted with the, inclusion of the first year maintenance as the, included in the option.
okay,
All right, we need a second.
I have some questions. too.
Yes, I can, right, I'll second, no, question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, making notes quickly there. Kathy's done a good job on this. Thank you for that. What is the cost of the wood when somebody comes in here with a truck full of wood? What do we charge them for that?
well, we'll be discussing that a little bit later too, but the current rate for yard waste is, let me just check to make sure, $32 a ton.
And how does that, what does that amount to per year?
Oh, I don't think I have that number right here at the top of my head. I keep track of it on the side, so I have a worksheet I could look at to give you that number.
Okay.
But we do have to pay UWL a tipping fee to take the material off of our hands. So, you know, if we're looking at our program costs versus our revenues, it's basically a break-even
Is it a
program.
wash?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And the day-to-day manpower on that, is there any difference between 1, 2, and 3 here as far as what you would need
For running it?
Yes.
No, they're all 3 are very much a 1-person operation. They run a loader. They load material into the grinder self-regulates. If it can't grind that piece of equipment, or if it hits a piece of metal or something that doesn't belong, it'll back that material out. It disengages if it runs into something that it absolutely cannot process through. There's screens in these machines, and this equipment will include a hoist that will help change screen mode. If we need to make a 6-inch screen, put that in, or if we need to put an 8-inch screen in, 1-person operation. All they need is the screen sitting next to the machine, pull out the hoist, they can pick it up, move it with that hoist. So,
Last question, you may have touched on it. What's the diameter, the biggest diameter of a tree that you can push through it?
oh my goodness. Well, it's not necessarily what you can, it's what you should. The roto chopper and the Vermeer both handles larger logs. It's estimated 8 to 12, 12-inch diameter, or larger. I certainly wouldn't advise my employees to max that piece of equipment out, just because we don't want to break it, do we? So, the larger material that we accept through our program should be no less than 8 inches in diameter. Some stuff bigger than that comes through the program. But, and our current machine can handle it. But it's not something that we would normally accept through our program, and the firewood or bigger pieces.
There's an anonymous, well, Winnebago is entering the.
I just have a question on. Or my comment would be that when we originally bought the first one that we had, we put an emphasis on going out to our other communities if there were issues. That was really, you know, why we got that big of a piece of equipment, because at that point in time, it, you know, no one had it. I think we loaned it out to the city of Menasha, maybe even Oshawa, whatever, and stuff. It always went with an operator because it was our piece of equipment,
Yes.
whatever, and we didn't want anybody to do that or whatever. So how much would it take to bring the old piece of equipment up to a standard that we could have it as a backup, or is that? I realize that's a big piece of equipment for backup or whatever, but you know, $35,000 isn't a lot of money.
Sure. I haven't looked at the financials of what it would take to get the equipment back there, or what I would consider to be a roadworthy condition. We have to look at, like, if we did an overhaul on the engine, it would be over $25,000 just for that alone. So, you know, granted that, and making sure that everything is back to DOT inspection, you know, passing DOT. I imagine we would invest at least $35,000, but we also have to look at the long term. If that piece of equipment is sitting around and not being used, there could be things going wrong with it, or could, you know, go wrong with it very quickly, because it's just not in regular use. It's something that we have to look at space too. Where are we gonna do that? Do we have to inside? Are we gonna store it outside? Are we gonna run it once a year, make sure all the fluids are running through it well? I don't know if it's going to be worth getting up back up to being roadworthy and as a backup, and then trying to keep it maintained and stored over the next couple of years. So,
Okay.
I just assume.
It's obviously depreciated, isn't it?
Yeah.
So why would we keep it? And it's 22 years old. Things break, and you know, if it's 5 years old, we question about, can we really get parts?
That's a good point too.
What is the maximum size that we accept at the landfill? And then what do we do with larger
Sure.
logs?
Well, the maximum size that we accept on our books, you know, on our grade sheet is up to 8 inches in
8 inches.
diameter. Yes, so the bigger stuff that comes through, if it's chunked into like firewood sized pieces, we try to get that through the transfer station. Unfortunately, it's not something that we would normally put through the grinder. Some of it incidentally ends up in the mix. We currently grind it if it ends up in the mix. If it's longer logs, we try to have that direct haul up to Allegheny County for them to either process through Bucklands or to use in the landfill or bury in the landfill.
So we do accept it, bigger material. and
It's-
we
yeah.
Decide what we're gonna do with it at the time. it
Yeah,
comes in.
but it's just not accepted as a yard, typically, unless it sneaks in through the program.
As yard, it's not accepted as yard waste.
Correct, it's not accepted as a yard.
It's accepted as solid waste.
One last question.
Sure.
What's the lead time on this?
This one is about 6 weeks, or sorry, 6 months, so we're looking at about June.
And they don't have any problem with that, they feel pretty solid about that, there's nothing made in China with Ukraine or something.
They're starting to catch back up. I had that conversation with the rep about 6 months ago, when they only had one manufacturer of a certain piece of equipment on that machine, and there was a backlog at that point, but he said that they're building redundancies within their company to try to overcome that challenge and be able to deliver in a more timely manner. But for this 6 month window, it's not uncommon. I think one of them was a lot longer. I think the Morbark was a lot longer, and the Vermeer is that piece of equipment. The Vermeer proposed is a prototype. That was another thing that we had to consider is prototype. They made, not only did they put a different engine in it for the 2023 year, they went from a Fiat into a Cat engine, which is good in my opinion, but the other thing they did was they started tweaking some of the actual equipment and the machinery in it, so it's a prototype right now. They don't actually have any that are built for sale. So you kind of have to take that into consideration in this award too.
That's huge.
Is this is this basically a year-round usage? Is there a season that's greater? I would think there is, but is it pretty much running 12 months?
It's definitely running year round.
Okay,
Yep.
and so for the 6 months, again, what is the status? We have, the one we have is still enough to limp through.
Right now, the one we have is non-operational
Right.
because the belt broke about a week ago.
So, are we going to Buckland then, or what are we gonna do to?
Right
bridge the
now, we
gap
have
here?
enough ground up, we prepared, we didn't know it was gonna break, but obviously we try to keep ahead of the pile, so we have enough. Ground up right now, sitting on the ground, that we can keep the UWO program going for the next 3 to 4
So,
months.
but the stuff's gonna stack up for 6 months then, you mean?
Well, I'm working on repairing the current one.
Oh, you are still gonna try to
Yeah,
repair it a
we
little bit, okay,
parts.
okay.
We're going to attempt to repair it ourselves, but because it's the main belt, the main in-feed belt on this machine, it's a little bit more difficult for us to work on, because of how heavy
Okay.
those things are and the specialty that comes with it. We did ask Marbar to send a tech in, but we were told it would be 6 weeks before they could send a repair person.
So is Buckland still a backup to that then?
Bucklands would be a backup at
Okay.
this point if we needed to grind material.
Got
Yeah.
Any more questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
I,
Did we ever get a second?
Yes.
Haven't, okay.
That motion has carried. Now we're gonna go to four-wheel drive articulated rubber tire loader.
Fancy word for a loader, front end loader. First of all, let me show you the pictures, okay, so, just because one of my equipment operators cleaned up his brand new machine, he received I was so proud of him. Okay, so Chad, who's one of our guys that we hired from Highway this spring. This is a loader that we received. It's a 2002 model. We received it in July of this year, and our employee is so proud of the equipment, being able to operate a new piece of equipment. He spent several hours yesterday cleaning it up, washing and cleaning up. He did have to do some loading with it, so the bucket isn't clean, but this gives you exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for a front end loader that will handle solid waste, recyclable material, yard waste, and anything else we need to lift up that's too heavy to handle by hand. And the grapple bucket that's attached to it. But again, this is the equipment, and this is how I like to say this is how we demonstrate showing pride in what we want. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be a recommendation for an award of RFP Solid Waste 03-22 for the 2023 four-wheel drive articulated rubber tire loader. It's an essential piece of equipment for our solid waste transfer station and drop site operations. We will be replacing the current equipment, which is a 2012 Volvo L90F with 20,000 hours on it. The economic useful life reached for this specific piece of equipment was reached in 2022, and it is fully depreciated. Our 2023 capital outlay budget is $300,000 for the loader and bucket. I published an RFP on DemandStar on November 2nd, and it was due on November 22nd. We received 5 proposals, and you could pull up the tally sheet. So currently our current fleet is 3 Volvo loaders and 1 Cat loader. So it was no surprise to see responses from Volvo and from Becca Cat. We had Brooks Tractor that came out, took a look at what we had for trade-in, and they're offering up a John Deere 614T in their proposal. And Roland Machinery came out and took a look at what we had and offered a Komatsu WA 380-8 for their proposal. So I feel we did have a pretty good outcome for this proposal. You can see the different pricing airing came in at the lowest with the options that we wanted. The most comparable is the Cat option number 2. The difference between those two as far as equipment is Cat offered us tires that were, more like stock tires for them. In that option number 2, where we had asked for tires with a heavier duty, what they call X-liners, they're just a heavier rubber, more resilient tire that we would get more life out of in our operations. We're running over things that just all the time that are not avoidable, so we definitely wanted the longer tire life. Airing also came in with a higher trade-in value on the loader that we had. Just as a side note, I did offer that used loader to our partner counties, Brown and Allegheny, to see if they were interested in buying it off of us. Neither county spoke for it, so I would intend to use our equipment as trade-in. And then option number 1 on this is a Rockland bucket, similar to what you saw in the photo. And the gravel buckets work best for handling the materials we handle. It actually clenches down on the waste and recyclables, so we are not losing it as we're transporting it into a compactor. All right, the other thing we looked at was delivery time frame on this. The airing Volvo loader is 6 to 12 months out. Last year when we ordered ours for 2022, it took them 6 to 7 months to fill it. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere in the middle of that 6 to 12 months. The next one we would have considered would be the Cat. Theirs was 10 months out for delivery day. So definitely, a longer range on that. The recommendation of staff today will be to award this proposal to airing. Base price $265,875 for a 2023 Volvo LMH. The trade-in on our equipment would be $39,500. Net cost $226,375 for the equipment. We're going to add that bucket on because we need another plant bucket. $32,550. Total proposal, the price would be $258,925. And again, we budgeted $300,000 for 2023. Are there any questions to start with?
What is the make and model that we're trading in again?
We were trading in a Volvo L90F. So similar machine, just a little bit smaller than the main engine.
A little smaller than.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, again, Kathy, thank you for doing this.
Sure.
Question about the bucket, are the buckets interchangeable? The one that we have now with the new one?
Yes. What we ran into when we bought the Cat a couple of years ago, because we do have one Cat on fleet, runs off a different hydraulic fluid. So if we want to interchange anything with the Cat, we have to run a different hydraulic fluid with it.
Mm-hmm.
The new Volvos are all under warranty, so we won't be able to change hydraulics until those are off warranty. So long story short, at least 2 of the loaders and potentially 3 of the loaders will be able to interchange all equipment. We're always gonna have to keep the Cat slightly different. We do have one loader that's coming off of warranty or is already off warranty, one of our Volvos. We may switch that hydraulics over in that so that the Cat and one Volvo are interchangeable for equipment.
I was just wondering if we should keep that bucket and, I don't know what a bucket would cost as a spare, but that would be nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions? If not, we'll all entertain a motion to accept the recommendation.
So moved.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the awarding of the bid for that articulating rubber tire loader in the amount of $258,925. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
That is carried. We are moving right along. Rebate program changes for 2023.
Well, we need number 8.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I was Xing, that's why we're moving so fast. 2023 standard solid waste recycling rate sheet.
Yeah, I guess what we try to do every year is before the new year, we recommend some changes to our rate sheet for some of the recyclable items. So Kathy has a summary of some of the changes that she's recommending. And we'll review that with you now, so.
All right, here is a copy of the draft rate sheet for 2023. The general refuse and construction demolition shingles, those all fell under the rates that the board had discussed and the executive had discussed when we were planning for budget. So those are set $52 per ton. Minimum fee is staying the same, but we do have to reduce the number of pounds allowed in on a minimum fee just because of the mathematics involved in the rates. Yard waste, I am proposing a $2 per ton increase to $34 per ton. Some of that increase will go to the vendor for tipping fees. Some of it will come back into our program, but again, that program is pretty much a break-even program. Benefits our program and it benefits UW Oshkosh. Let's see here. And then just changing the amount of pounds on yes or on yard waste. So under recyclable waste, household source in county only. This is not single stream. This is all of our other miscellaneous universal waste and materials that are banned from landfill disposal. Free on appliances, I'm proposing that we increase from $13 per unit to $15 per unit. These items are hand loaded into a trailer, something that I did myself this summer when we were short staffed. Just a high level of handling. And so because of the time and energy put into it, we also had to look at markets. I looked at the markets from our partner counties, and this adjustment will help accommodate the additional hours that are put into loading it and handling it and kind of get us back up to market level in that partner county as well. Loads of tires, the next one I'd like to adjust, that would be increased from $315 per ton to $400 per ton. Two things are going on with that as well. Our vendors' prices are increasing, so we do have to accommodate that price increase. We also have to kind of look at market adjustments as well. And our partner counties are increasing theirs. Outagamie's going up to $425, Brown County's going up to $400. We want to stay within that market. We have limited resources here, limited space for that material. What I've seen in the past is if our rates are generically low or a lot lower than our partners, material starts to flow back into our program, puts greater stress and trying to manage it with our program. And we end up losing out on that and putting more labor and time into them. So I'm just trying to get it back up to where the market standard is. Another item,
what are we charging now?
$315 per ton.
50.
315.
Well, 315.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ballast, I'm proposing that we add ballast onto the sheet as a charge item. I'm currently accepting them as free items. However, our costs in handling ballasts are going up. The vendor I have is charging, first of all, ballast comes in, they're about $1, or I'm sorry, they're 1 to 10 pounds. They're different sizes, they come in. Currently, we're not charging for them at all. So we're absorbing that cost through our other programs. What I did note is that our one type of ballast, the PCB ballast, their charge, vendor charge for that went up from about $2.50 a pound to $5.15 a pound. Now that's $5.15, $2.50, but it just goes to show that the expense of these programs are kind of out of our control, and because they're free, the material just shows up and then we end up having to cover those costs through our programs. And I think it's just more responsible of us to start charging a fee. $1 per item is very reasonable. We'll continue to run our programs the way we do and just add that as a charge. Hopefully people will get used to having that as a charge, continue to use the convenience of dropping it off here, but it will help us recover our costs in that program. Cooking oil, I'm adding onto the sheet just to recognize that it's a new and well-liked program. It is free. We have a collection bin out on our drop site here. We have it open currently to residential and commercial customers. We do have to kind of monitor it because of the limited size of the container. We want to make sure we're not overflowing. So at some point I might have to back commercial out of that. But right now it is open for free for all use. And we get a little bit of money on the side for that. The vendor who comes in and pumps that out, they turn it into a renewable fuel. And we just get pennies on the dollar, but it's nice having it as a feel good program and being able to have a little bit of revenue off the side of it. And then just to recognize some changes in what we've seen through our transfer station. We've seen construction items that cause certain issues with our compactors and with our trailers, damaging our equipment. So I've added railroad ties, steel beams, and steel posts as items that we cannot accept through our program here. And that is because they have damaged our equipment. Damaged equipment needs downtime for us. We need to keep the doors open and locked. So, and avoid those costs. Okay. So those items, I would say, we're no longer accepting through our program at all. They need to be hauled to a landfill. Any questions on these changes?
No, I'm assuming we have to authorize that, Jerry.
Yeah, you have on these $1 items. You have any idea what it costs us to collect the dollar?
Yeah. Well,
In other words, are we losing money by collecting a dollar? What I'm asking.
I would say most of these items come in when we have other materials coming in, so that person's walking in the door anyway.
Okay,
And as far as monitoring it, I guess if somebody came in past the scale and dropped it off and didn't report it to us, we don't have anybody policing it either, so it's basically an honor system.
okay.
And in
So
perspective
generally-
to our bulbs that we collect are 50 cents or $1 per bulb.
I'm sorry, what?
In perspective, our bulbs that we collect are 50 cents to $1 per bulb. So we do collect it on those materials too that are a smaller fee.
And I would guess generally you collect more than, they bring in more.
Yeah,
than one
typically
at a
people
time.
bring in several items at once. Yeah.
Okay,
Always several. Oh, I'm sorry, Jim.
Are we doing anything with styrofoam? I know how to get it is.
We do not have a drop site or a program for styrofoam, so it is handled through the transfer station as a waste material, trash.
Because it's a long trip up there.
Understood.
Do that. I was hoping to do that. Certainly.
We could certainly have a internal a conversation about it. I hesitate because I've seen how labor intensive it is for Allegheny County. They say it's easy, quick and easy, bring it in, drop it off, but then they have to manually load that material into a,
You know, the bins are always
Condenser.
full. They go up there.
yeah, and
Trying to find
store
one that's
it.
empty.
Yeah, and store it until they have somebody who will buy it or take that material off their hands too. So there's things that we would have to look at internally to propose, but certainly something that if you want to see the numbers on it, I can certainly.
I'd be curious.
Okay.
I guess in terms of education, is there a market for it? That styrofoam, they recycle it then and turn it into more styrofoam, or what's the?
Basically, they turn it into more stuff. They turn it into, I don't want to say building materials because I think that's too, robust of a material. What I've seen it turn into is like picture frames and miscellaneous, more items that, I don't know how much of a demand there is for it. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but I do know that there's some demand for it.
And that would be under a recycling type concept as opposed to disposal, because so somebody would come that does this for a living and only take styrofoam away, basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Outagamie has arranged with other, because they have more space and they have
Mhm.
lead point, which they can hire people to do extra sorting for reduced rate, extra employees. But Outagamie has tried other, diversion programs. And I'm not sure if the styrofoam is sold as just a styrofoam mold, or if they've made arrangements with a buyer to take styrofoam, vinyl siding, and other miscellaneous materials that they've collected on the side.
Okay.
Certainly, I can get answers to those questions as well.
Seems like a lot of
It is,
fiddling around.
It
for
is.
Probably not a lot of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm torn because I get the sustainability message, I get the value of keeping materials out and saving landfill space for stuff that really needs to be landfill, but at the same time, I've seen the downside of markets when they're not stable, when you start taking a product and all of a sudden you lose your buyer, you lose your outlet for that, people expect you to continue to take that material and you have nowhere to go with it. And so, I mean, you have to, or, balance those things and try to make the best decision. And potentially if the polystyrene, if it has a better market down the road, it may be something that we could collect. And if we have, the things in place that we need to maintain that program, we certainly could look at it. But we've run into that with recyclables moving up too. If a product that we're accepting, all of a sudden the buyer doesn't want it anymore, or it's material that you don't have an outlet for, it just ends up in the trash. So it's a tough call.
Yeah, their bins are packed in this big thick styrofoam. This is not just a paper or a styrofoam plate or something, or a clamshell.
Mhm.
There are huge pieces in there. So
Yeah.
I see that there's always at least one guy in there working.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. So, we can certainly take a quick look into it and maybe come up with some ideas.
Okay. Any more questions? If not, we'll need a motion to accept these changes to the rates schedule.
Also move. I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the rate changes for 2023. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That has carried. Now we'll go to rebate.
This is the last one for me.
Yeah. So as far as the rebate program, was started in the early 2000s as a way to lock up solid waste tonnage and offer reduced fees to communities, private haulers that would nominate and deliver tonnage into our system. It was initially planned to be a 10-year type of program, but it just kept being carried forward. And I guess over the last couple of years, we had talked internally about looking at a way to, I guess, modify things to simplify billing and such. So Kathy and Cassie have looked at the current issues that we have and have recommended some proposed changes, and they have a little summary for you here to consider today. So
Thanks, John. So currently we have two different basically tiers or classes of discounted tipping fees. We have what is called a direct haul discount, and that is a reduced tipping fee for customers who haul directly to the landfill. There would be Winnebago County source materials, Winnebago County customers, and they're just taking the material to the landfill because we either can't handle it through here or, we don't want to handle it through here. Historically, the customer selections were based on discretion of the operations manager, so it's kind of scattered. The tipping fee rate is reduced by $3 per ton. The current users of this are 10 non-municipal customers, and they're direct hauling residential, commercial, industrial, and C&D materials to Allegheny County. So I put that in there just to point out that it's not just being used for materials that we can or don't want to handle through our transfer station. It's being used for materials across a broad spectrum. The second discounted tipping fee we offer is a rebate program for transfer station customers. It's a reduced tipping fee that was historically used for signing municipalities that are self-hauling, county departments, private customers who nominated tonnages, and small startup haulers and good, quote unquote, good customers based on discretion of the operations manager. Those same customers were also given a $3 per ton discount on residential, commercial, industrial, and C&D materials that were brought through our transfer station. The non-municipal customers who have been using this are GFL, Everglades, which is the old Advanced Disposal on-road, Jack Cleveland Incorporated, and City Disposal. So it's not widely used by any means. And as John mentioned, in the past, these customers had to nominate a certain amount of tonnages. There were no nomination of tonnages, so basically that has dropped off completely. So nobody's offering up tonnages or nominating tonnages, they just happen to be bringing it here. So when we saw that there was really no one participating in that side of it or committing a certain amount of material to this anymore, we just decided that we're not just gonna keep it, try and extend it out and continue to make it grow when it's kind of dysfunctional as it is right now. So we did not extend the rebate rate or ask for any nominations in 22, but we didn't extend a new rebate rate out of 10. So going forward to try to, I guess, put a sunset to this program. What we are proposing, after looking at the complications that have come about and looking at the current operational needs of this facility, we're proposing for the direct haul discount, the first one I was speaking about, we're going to eliminate this for the 10 customers who currently use it. The estimated change in customer expense is $47,100. So basically that would be an expense our customers would have to take on. The 10 customers would have to take on if we eliminate that $3 per ton rebate. The changes that I'm recommending, or that we as staff are recommending for the rebate program, is only using this for our assigning municipalities and our Winnebago County departments, and only for transfer station and direct haul landfill waste. So this is something we really want to offer up to our signing municipalities. Hey, this is part of signing on our program, supporting our program. We're going to make sure every single one of your communities directly benefits this $3 per ton discount. Future, what I'm recommending is calling it the signing municipal rate, just to recognize that. All right, there we go. Okay, so, and if these charges are billed to the municipality or department directly through our scale, the $3 per ton discount will be recognized on their ticket payment. So their ticket will show a reduced rate on it right off the bat. If the charges are billed to the hauler, like some of our communities currently contract with different haulers, a check will be cut at the end of every month for the $3 per ton direct to the municipality at the end of each month for the residential waste that came through our transfer station, or through the system, I should say, because we want to make sure we recognize City of Menasha's direct hauling, Fox Crossing, materials being direct hauled up to Allegheny County. So we want to make sure every one of our municipalities benefits from it. So going forward, estimated 2023 rebate directly to our signing municipalities would be $92,000 approximately, based on our 2022 tonnages. We would also eliminate that rebate rate for 3 non-municipal, non-department customers who are still grandfathered in. So yep, some of them are going to be basically taken out of the program. And the estimated change in non-municipal customer expense would be $42,200. So again, that's going to be expenses passed on to the customers.
Who are those 3 non-municipal, non-department customers?
GFL, which is the old Advanced Disposal, Jack Cleveland Inc., which was a small startup who's doing very well now, and City Disposal again, who was a small startup years ago and is doing very, very well for business now. So what does that look financially for us? Net total savings to the solid waste management board is a plus $89,300 from the changes to our non-municipal customer base, and those private companies. And then a negative $11,400 for changes to the signing municipalities who currently their haulers are not getting any kind of a rebate. Again, that's $11,400 going back into the pockets of our municipalities. So net adjustment to our financials, it's a positive $77,900 in increased revenue based on 2020. So it's small change in books for us. It's going to ease the complications that come with billing and invoicing right now. It's going to recognize our signing municipalities will all get the rebate, not some of them getting it, and others not getting it. And it will allow us to direct material through our transfer station where we want it to go. They'll go to Allegheny, they'll go to Brown County. Where we need it. The other thing I need to bring up in this that I don't think it's on this sheet, but the Brown County and Allegheny County direct calls will still be seeing what they see as a discount, because what we will do is we'll extend our tipping fee, our $52 per ton on the material they direct call. Whereas if they took it to Allegheny County and didn't say it was Winnebago County's material, they would be charged $54 a ton. So they're still going to see a $2 discount on the material they direct call. For Brown County, it's going to be also a different, there's also going to be a period of rebate, because we will extend our Winnebago County rate for the material they're taking up to Brown County. So I don't see it being a huge impact of a lot of material coming back into our system in this regard. We're still gonna have that discount offered to them. It's just going to be slightly different of how it's on our books and how we're looking at it.
So you don't expect the tonnages to change much because of this?
Not dramatically.
Paul,
Yeah, thank you. What's the rationale for reducing the rebates to the existing customers?
As in eliminating it for the existing customers?
Why do you want to take that away from them? Besides, just increasing revenue.
Well, it has very little to do with increasing revenue. It has to do more with recognizing signing municipalities are special and making sure that they're treated specially and they get all of the benefits that we should have.
I don't agree. I think you should have some respect for people who've been doing business with you for some time. And at times that we were begging them for business. I don't agree with reducing those, eliminating the rebates for existing customers.
I totally agree with the opportunity we're taking to with our partners, the people that have signed, the municipalities that have signed, those have been really what this whole system's been about. The other people, they have no choice where to go. However, our municipalities are our partners. That's the people that we want to keep happy and whatever.
Well, you've got a half a dozen people that don't participate.
But they're so minuscule that it, doesn't, I mean, it's very small. Maybe this will encourage them to join, and we'll have to make that decision if we want to go back after.
No, take away the tax. Property tax fear.
Yeah, okay, Mike?
Well, back to Paul's question about the rationale. Could we basically you had carved out 3 non-municipal entities that were getting the municipal rebate, right? I mean, another, right? Is part of the rationale that you have a much higher number of business partners, quote unquote, that don't get it? Is it trying to even that playing field? Is that more what your rationale is?
Absolutely, that's certainly part of it. It's not only is it so little, it's not used by the majority of the customer, not available to the majority of our customers. But the 3 customers that were still taking advantage of it failed to continue to nominate material to us.
Okay, so that was
We have no way
well,
of controlling if they're showing up with their material or not
Okay,
at this
okay,
point.
okay.
Or what material is they're bringing.
Okay. If they would have. So if someone else came along, a non-municipal entity came along and actually nominated tonnage, would we consider giving them a rebate?
Well, in the past, it would have been considered, but there was nothing in writing that said these are the standards.
Right, exactly, but I
Yeah.
think it's important that the board, that we actually do agree on a concept.
Yeah,
Who gets the rebate? The rebate now is those people, not just the municipal partners, but anyone who's willing to nominate tonnage, right? I mean, that's the whole point. If you're willing to commit to us we're willing to give you a break. If you don't make that commitment legally and in writing, then we really have no reason to provide you that rebate. That's the way I'm
Sure,
kind of looking at it, I guess. But it's not that we are precluding in the future anyone from coming along going, hey, I'm opening up a business and I can bring you 10,000 tons and I guarantee you're gonna get all of it. I mean, then you might go, yeah, okay.
well, we started to move away from that because the advantages that came with that in the past. We were no longer able to, I guess, experience and or need. Part of the advantage would have been like, what kind of material are you bringing us? Are you bringing us residential, the good material that goes through our compactors? Or are you bringing us material that damages our equipment because you don't want to handle it for your own facilities?
Okay.
Um,
Okay, so then you've got to get deeper into the weeds on what they're bringing and so
and
on.
manage it.
Where
you know,
municipalities are very
consistent.
predictable.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly, that's.
Okay,
part of it.
okay.
Yeah. If I might just say one thing, I think we'd have to address, maybe some of these things that come up, with these changes in maybe a different way. You know, the rebate program and these nominations, it just got to be a nightmare on the billing side of things. We may need to look at something down the road where, you know, if a new company is willing to, you know, bring material into our system, you know, based on volume, type of waste, that sort of thing, you know, I think we'd look at it more as like a disposal agreement, type situation where maybe you look at something in between the gate rate and, our municipality rate sort of thing. But we felt that the current way the rebate program was being operated, it kind of long, wore out its welcome and it needed to be changed in some way. And so, hence our, recommendations today. So.
And I would tend to agree there. Looking at going way back in the beginning of your proposal here, when you described the rebates, the people that were now getting rebates, that looked kind of ambiguous, like, you know, there was the last one, I think was the good guys got the rebate.
Yes,
And that appeared as though what that was doing, and it puts a burden on the staff to determine who gets a rebate and who does not get a rebate.
and continue to monitor.
And it looks
material.
like what you're trying to do is clean that up so that it takes that burden off of you and puts it in writing somewhere.
That's certainly part of it.
Okay, can we go just through the numbers one more time? The rebate rate now is 54, correct?
So-
54 per ton, that's the rebate
No, the current tipping fee we have.
for
here,
2023.
For 2023 is $52 a ton. If we went forward with the rebate rate.
Okay.
Continued it, we would subtract $3.
Oh, so we're down to 49,
So
okay.
we're down to 49.
But, okay, so, but the direct haul then get another $2 off, or don't they?
They don't anymore.
And, but I guess that, I mean, that to me, they're not. Let's walk through that a little bit. We are not offering, I thought you said you wanted to make sure that the direct haul, Menasha and Fox Crossing did get some benefit of the direct haul since, I mean.
Correct, but they're the signing municipalities, so. When I said they're no longer, I'm sorry, I misspoke, I didn't mean the signing municipalities, they're not getting an additional $2.
They're not.
No, and they never have.
So did it, yeah, I'm sorry, let's just. And they're still willing to direct haul because it benefits them. It's cheaper for them to drive there than it is to drive here.
Yeah.
And we indirectly benefit from that quite a bit, so we don't have to direct haul any Menasha or any Fox Crossing stuff from the transfer station.
Correct.
So there should have been a saving. When did that start for both of them again? 3 years ago?
Oh, no, it was well before my time here. It's been going on,
Well, how long is how long is Gaming, right, 1 year or 8 years? In my mind, it's hard to remember anymore. But
Yeah, 2012, once we stopped being the regional landfill, the city of Menasha just decided that
Okay.
it was better for them to direct haul to out gaming. Honestly, we didn't even have to ask them. They just kind of did it. So,
Okay,
And I believe Fox Crossings transitioned over back in the days when Advanced Disposal hauled their material.
okay,
Because
And
it was
those-
more convenient to send the trucks north, and currently with Carter's, it's more convenient to send the trucks north
Okay.
than send them back there.
and the Nino is right in that middle where it like, okay, we could go either way. But we would need some theoretical reason to. Tip the scale toward going north, okay.
Okay. Any more questions? Comments or anything? So then we just need some action to accept the.
I'm sorry, last question. We're realizing a savings of 89.3, but you're estimating 42,200 as the non-municipal customer expense. What's the difference between those two numbers?
The direct haul, because there's two numbers that feed into it, at the top of the page, that
Okay.
say direct haul. That the customers would have to take on, the non-municipal customers. So Cassie, could you scroll back to the top? So the other part of that equation is, the direct haul discount, the 10 non-municipal customers who currently have a direct haul discount for $3 per ton for material taken out to the LD account.
Okay, okay. Okay,
I need a motion then to approve these changes. So moved. Motion been made and seconded. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Are you in charge of the director's report or are you
No.
bailing?
Sitting here, but I think John has to take care of that.
yeah. There's no director's report today.
Yeah, that was quick.
Kathy could have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if anybody's got any future agenda items, please feel free to contact John or anybody.
Doug?
Can I bring up a future agenda item? I just wonder, I believe with Paul's support, they're spending 800,000 on an emergency generator at the county expo. Is there any way that we could provide energy to the expo facility? And basically one of our generators would be an emergency generator. We'd be able to directly put electricity there. Maybe I'm way off base, but we aren't that far away from them. I just wonder if it's worth at least taking a little bit of a look at it.
I guess on the surface, Doug, I don't see that being logistically an option for what they need, in the event of a storm or disaster where power is out for a long period of time. To have one of our engines sitting there and running our landfill gas line over there, I just don't see it being a good option for that kind of a setup. So, but certainly a good thought, Doug.
Looks simple the way I looked at it, but I'm sure you're correct.
So I guess not to jump ahead, but the next meeting is planned for December 21st. I guess as far as agenda items go, we've finalized our annual report, so we'll be talking about the 2021 annual report, kind of a new format for that. I think the game plan is to have a final power purchase agreement to talk about and provide authorization on that. Just the power, not the green attributes. I hope to have more of a Chapter 15 recodification update. Pat and I will be meeting with Corp Counsel and the administrative team on the 15th. So we'll be able to provide an update on that process at the next meeting as necessary. And then this afternoon, myself, Ron Ragetz from DeWitt, Marianne Miller, Corporation Counsel, and Chris Anderson from both are participating in that, I guess, Snell legal discussion phone call with AECom to try to help them better understand the costs. So may or may not have an update for the board as a follow-up to that call this afternoon. So there are some things that we do need to take care of on the 21st, and hopefully that'll work for the board to have a quorum for that meeting. So
I have a problem on the 21st. Facilities who only has one meeting a month is because of the holiday had to move theirs to the 21st also at 9 a.m. So I will not be there. I'm afraid.
okay.
Where's your priority?
Yeah, I was expecting them. They have one meeting a month.
I am gonna be going down to Florida on the 21st. I could participate possibly in Zoom, but that'll be a conflict for me. I don't know if I can or not.
Oh,
Okay.
I would, you know, yeah, we can work around something, whatever you want. You can look at the agenda, maybe the agenda for, you know.
Yeah, I can look at the agenda.
Okay.
I'm also going to Florida.
I also have a concern on the 21st, that facilities in the 21st.
Yes.
I have a presentation to make at the facilities. So it conflicts with what I need to do.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6 with Doug.
Huh?
6 with Doug.
6 with
if
Doug,
he's able
so
to.
we'll probably end up working around those things all the time. I mean, in order to adjust one to do the other, is the domino effect and whatever. So my it was my druthers, it would be just like, we'll just keep it the way it's scheduled and whatever, and we'll work around whatever, so.
Okay.
December 21st. Motion to adjourn. So second. Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed. That has carried. Thank you.